Welcome back to my channel, everyone. Sweet Tips here, and I've got some carat scrap gold I've been saving up, and we're going to refine that in this video. Let's start out by getting a weight on this. I've already pre-weighed it. I've got 170.5 grams of 14K, and I need 215 grams of sterling silver. I've got 144 grams of 10K, and I need 91.8 grams of sterling silver to properly inquart these carat gold that I have here. So let's weigh it out for us here, make sure we've got the proper weights. This is the 14K stuff. We got 170.5, and then now we'll get a weight on the 10K stuff, and that is going to be 144.7. So now what we'll do is measure out our sterling silver. We need 307.4 grams, and I've got 308.6. That's close enough. So now we're going to go out and quart this carat gold with this sterling silver. Okay, I had a little an ice container in here, kind of got in the way. Didn't do any harm. Okay, here's the imported gold. We'll get that out of that water and put it in a beaker. Here's our inquarted gold. If you notice, it kind of clumped together, which is undesirable, but it will fall apart during this nitric treatment process. And the reason it did that is because I didn't have the water very chilled very well in the waterboard process. And so that's what happens if you don't get that water chilled very well before you pour the molten metal into it. I'm going to add some distilled water. Alright, here's some nitric acid, and what we'll do now is start pulling the silver that we just added and all the base metals out of this carat gold. And when we're done with this nitric acid treatment process, the gold in here will be very close to 3/9 fine, just like it is. I'm going to set this up on the heat now. and let this react. Here I'm going to incinerate some sterling silver pieces that I've cleaned all the stones and non-silver material from. I'll put it in this melt dish, then we'll add it to that silver jar back there after we burn all the combustible material off the metal. It's important to do that before we go to dissolve that silver in nitric acid. Here I'm just going to heat it to redness. I don't want to melt it. I just want to heat it to redness until all the smoke clears up and there's no more smoke coming from it. Here it is. It's clean silver now with all the combustible grease and oil that might have been on there burn off. I'm adding it to that silver jar. The first nitric acid treatment that we've performed on our inquarted gold. Notice that when I pour this in, there's no reaction with the sterling silver in that silver jar. That's because most of the nitric acid has been consumed. That blue liquid that I'm pouring off will be loaded with silver. And the reason I add that silver into that jar is to consume any excess nitric that might still be in that blue liquid that I'm pouring off. In this case, there was none. I'm adding some more distilled water, and now we're going to add another charge of nitric acid, and we're going to keep pulling all the silver and all the base metals out of that inquarted gold. I've allowed this to boil in nitric acid baths all day long. I've kind of overdone it to a fault, but as you can see, our nitric acid is pretty much clear, colorless, and that's what we're after. Now what we'll do is look at that gold, man. Looks beautiful. That gold right there, now that we've pulled all the silver and base metals out with these nitric acid boils, that gold right there is very close to 3/9 fine, just like it is. We're going to go ahead and pour it off. I'm going to save this acid because it's still got plenty of active nitric acid in it. And we'll use this acid here in a future refining. When we go to do these nitric acid boils, we'll use this acid out of here. Rinse this with a little bit of water and add the rinse to our silver jar in the back there. Oh yeah, that gold looks beautiful. Look at that, man. It's just gorgeous. That silver jar is full. And now what we're going to do, we're going to add a little bit more distilled water to this. And we're going to give the gold a boil in some plain distilled water now. Let's go ahead and transfer this nitric from this beaker down into this flask. beautiful gold. Look at that, man. I just can't get over how beautiful this pure gold is after it's been treated with the nitric acid, boiled in some water. I'm just going to pour this water off now into a silver jar. Okay, the recovery process is complete. Let me shuffle these things around a little bit. I need to transfer some of the liquid out of this jar into this because it's too full back here. Let's see if we can do this without making a mess. Now we can get rid of these two silver jars. We've got the recovery process complete. Here's our clean gold. What I'm going to do now is add some hydrochloric acid. This is 5 troy ounces, so let's go with, I'm going to put it up to the 600 milliliter level. I'm going to add a squirt of sulfuric acid. This will precipitate out any lead that may be present in our gold. Now we're going to take the gold that we have in hydrochloric acid. You can see there's a little bit of yellow color already starting to happen in there. And that's from the residual nitric acid that was present in there. I'm going to add some heat. And then I'm going to start adding doses of nitric acid until we get all of this gold to go into solution. I'm going to put it on time lapse and watch that in time lapse. Here we go. Few crumbs of undissolved gold in there. I've got a rolling boil going. I'm going to put in like half of 1 milliliter of nitric acid, see if we get the rest of those pieces of gold to dissolve. I've got everything to go into solution. Just got a couple of little tiny pieces in the bottom there. And if you look at the top of the beaker, all the fume production has ceased. So it's safe to conclude that we've got all of this gold to go into solution. Bring it down here and let it cool off. I've allowed it to cool for a little while. I'm going to add some ice now to hasten the cooling and dilute the solution. Hopefully precipitate out any silver chloride that may be present. The solution looks excellent, and that is a testament to how effective those nitric acid boils are at removing the silver and all the base metals from that quartered gold. Clarity of this solution after just one pass through the filter, that really shows how effective quarting with silver and then parting with nitric acid is at cleaning up this gold. Beautiful. Now let's go for the precipitation. I'm using SMB. Just going to drop spoons of it right on in. Here we go. We're gonna add another spoon now. Just gonna dump this right on in, down the center. That is incredible. That's 2 spoons. Here goes 3 right down the middle. One more, number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we're starting to get some white foam on top. That should do it for us. 10 spoons. Let me give this a stir. That's quite warm. The solution is, let's stick a piece of filter paper in here. Let's get a status test, make sure we got everything precipitated. Tell by that status test, all the gold has been precipitated now. Here's our beautiful pure gold sponge, gold powder. I've allowed it to settle completely. And so now what we'll do is pour off this waste solution into a temporary waste container. I'm going to rinse it out a couple of times with some distilled water. Alright, here's our pure gold down in the bottom of our beaker. It looks scrumptious. We're going to boil the gold, some hydrochloric acid. This always seems to help clean it up. Let's get this off the heat now. We'll pour this off and give it a few rinses with some distilled water. I'm adding some hydrochloric acid to the gold. We're going to redissolve it a second time. And every time we put it through this cycle of dissolving and precipitating, the gold gets cleaner every time we do this. As usual, I'm adding a little bit of sulfuric acid just in case there's any lead in here. Let's move this up onto our burner now, our heat source. I like using this one because you can see, you can watch the gold dissolve. I'm measuring out about 40 milliliters of nitric acid. And what we'll do is put this on time lapse. I'm going to add this 40 milliliters of nitric acid into our gold. And then once that is consumed, this 40 milliliters is consumed, because I don't know if it'll dissolve all of this, I'll start adding small doses of nitric from this bottle until we get all the gold to go into solution. So we're going to put this on time lapse and do all that right now. Okay, we've got this evaporated all the way down. I'm going to pull it down off the heat now and let this cool off. We've got this down to a syrupy state. So what I'm going to do now is measure out some hydrochloric acid. In this beaker, we're going to dilute this solution with some hydrochloric acid. Here we go. We're going to add some hydrochloric acid to this gold. See what happens here. Got a little bit of solids going on in there. May have took it too far. We might have some metallic gold that came out of solution. We'll see. Let's just let this sit and cool off for a while. We'll take a look and see what we got here. Definitely got some gold that came out of solution. And so what we're going to do, this is cooled down pretty much to ambient temperature. What I want to do is add some ice here to cool it down even further. Got a little bit of gold that came out of solution down there. So we're going to filter off the solution off of that gold that's down in the bottom of the beaker. This won't hurt the gold, it'll just add a little bit of time to the refining. That was about 150 milliliters of hydrochloric acid. I'm going to add a squirt of nitric acid now, about 3 milliliters. We'll set this up on the heat. Let's make it 6. And we'll redissolve this gold. Solution is very clean, crystal clear. I'm going to pour it back through the filter because the first filter failed on us. Don't know why, but I'm going to pour this solution back through and filter it a second time through a new filter. Here's the first filter. You can see it got a hole in it. Sometimes that happens when you got a highly concentrated aqua regia solution. So what I did is I trimmed the vacuum on the vacuum system by opening the vent valve, so I only get about half of what I usually pull on this liquid, so it doesn't break this filter also. much aqua regia for the amount of gold, too much nitric for the amount of gold that was in here. It's all dissolved, so we'll have to take this down, evaporate it down until all the fumes disappear in that beaker. All that gold has been dissolved, fumes are gone in there, so that tells me all the excess nitric has been expelled. That's really all the further you need to go with that. This filter is still wet up here, so what we'll do is we'll cool this solution off now that we've got all the excess nitric out of here. I'm going to add some ice to it, and then once it's cooled off sufficiently, we'll pour it through this filter up here. My flask is full, so what I'm going to have to do, I didn't get a chance to rinse the filter out yet. What we'll do is transfer the funnel to a clean flask. Here's our solution. We used to call that in the Navy when we drew lube oil samples from our equipment. We used to call this clear and bright. And after status test. And there you can see that dark stain. And we've got plenty of gold in solution. There we go. I'm going to add some SMP. Precipitate out the pure gold. Just gonna put it right on in. This is the first spoon. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It should do it. Give this a stir. Now we'll just let this settle out and get our double refined pure gold powder. Allow this to settle completely. I did say I was going to get a before and after status test, so let's go ahead and do that right now. There you can see all of our gold has been precipitated out of that solution. Now we'll get this waste solution off of this gold. Now what I'll do is add some hydrochloric acid to the gold. And we're going to set it up here on some heat and boil the gold in hydrochloric acid for a few minutes. Got some hot distilled water here. I'm just going to boil our solution, boil our gold in some hot distilled water. I've rinsed it over and over with boiling distilled water. And now what we'll do is go ahead and pour this rinse water off. Now what we'll do is add the gold, here it is, to this drying dish carefully. Put down our heater up here and transfer this pan up here. It's a pan within a pan. So now what we're going to do is add some water to the pan. We use a water bath to dry this gold off. All right, I think it's dried off. Let's go ahead and take it out of this drying pan. And we're going to get this into a crucible and melt it. Take this over to the melt table and melt this up in ingot. A little bit of the gold got stuck or didn't get melted in that melt dish, so we'll get that out and include that with our yield. Nice little bead. Here's our two little pieces of gold. We're expecting 159.7. Let's see what we actually got here. Looks like we've got 154.6. And so what we'll do, that'll conclude the video. But this bar came out looking real nice. Look at that. It's got one little frosty spot there in the middle. Don't know what caused that. And we got this little bead right here that we stuck to the dish, and we got that out of there. And so what we'll do is we'll offer this for sale on my eBay site. A little bead of pure gold. Weighs 0.8 grams. There's the big bar. This will conclude the video. I'd like to thank everyone for watching.